Yes, make it big!
I've never seen such a comfy-looking Q&A set.
Yeah, we don't normally have this. We put these beanbags down and everyone just fell over.
This is so chilled.
I know. If you want, we'll get in the middle of them, but
yes.
they might pile onto you.
Maybe Sunday.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a Sunday thing.
Oh, isn't it nice?
Hello.
Nice and nice. Yeah, we also have our comfy sofa, so yeah. We've got a good setup this time.
I need my pipe and my slippers.
Yes. Oh yeah. Anyone got some slippers for Chris? If anyone has, like, someone will probably craft them over there in a second. Just every time we want something, like, yeah, we'll build that.
Amazing.
Welcome to Gent. Is it your first time in Gent?
It is my first time in Gent.
Ooh.
It's only my second proper time in Belgium.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
A lot of people new to Belgium. I've decided I love Gent.
It's really pretty.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I said it, and I'll say it again. I think it's my favourite Belgium city.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's definitely. Where did I?
Thank you.
We got the Eurostar to Brussels.
Yeah,
Brussels was not fun.
The train station isn't.
Nightmare. It was very nice here though. It's very nice. Good food.
Oh yeah. I always do this, but then I do this and then realise I shouldn't do this because that's where everyone will go. Any restaurant recommendations for Chris tonight? Gaston! Did you say Gaston? Like Beauty and the Beast? What did you say? Gaston! And what food is that? Spaghetti! Okay, it's happening. So if you like spaghetti, go there.
Pizza Hut. Cool.
Yeah. Welcome though. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything you don't like about Gent?
No.
See, he's a professional, guys. He didn't fall into my trap.
Nothing to report yet.
Oh, that yet.
There was some drunk Dutch dudes in the street last night.
Were you one of them?
Yes. Other than that,
it's genuinely lovely. I won't just talk to you about Gent all the time, because I will be murdered. But welcome to the Sober Chris.
Thank you.
Any franchises you've been in that people might be interested in and definitely not dressed up as right in front of your eyes?
well, there's that Harry Potter thing, I suppose, isn't there?
Yeah. Any fans in? A few.
Good. We're in the right place.
Yeah, I love this, especially with Harry Potter. You get this sense when you talk to people and they're like, it's nice that you're talking to him and having a little giggle, but please talk to him about the thing we love.
We're very serious about Harry Potter.
Are you? Are you actually a Potterhead?
Yes.
This is the weird thing, like, with no other franchise, like, there's a lot of franchises I've talked to people in, and they like the franchise, and like, yeah, I like it. But with like Harry Potter, a lot of people are like, yeah, I love it.
I think because when we started filming, like, I think 4 books were out when we started filming, so when they were looking for kid actors to be in the films, they wanted kids that were already fans of the book.
Yeah.
So those of us who were there at the beginning, especially those of us that weren't like professional actors, which was most of us, we got interested in it, or we auditioned for it because we were fans of the books. Because I was 16, like we were between 10 and 16 years old. So we were already fans of the franchise before we were in it. So we've kind of always been.
It is lovely though.
Yeah,
it's really nice.
Great. It's so unique like that.
Yeah, I mean, like you speak to people in the films and they just want to nerd as much as everyone else does. Yes, I've got some theories.
Yes, we just wanted to know whether we still had a job every time the book came out.
Am I in the song?
Exactly, yeah.
Were you one of those as well? Because again, that's something completely unique to the Harry Potters, is a lot of you could read the book and go, okay, let's see what I'm in for.
Yeah.
I find that mind-blowing.
It's very weird having to stand outside a bookshop at midnight to find out if you're going to have a job for the next 5 years.
Did you actually queue up for them?
Oh,
did they not understand them?
No! What?
Oh, they get
the only way you could get hold of the books at the same time as everybody else was to go to a midnight release.
I mean, I bet everyone's like, this guy's cosplayers.
Only person cosplaying Percy. But no, it was weird, yeah.
But again,
We had no spoilers, lying, no spoilers.
Were you? Yeah, I was gonna say no spoilers, nothing.
No, not a thing.
So good. It makes me really happy that people love it outside of it being a job. Just because you've already mentioned it, with you being young when you got it, was acting a thing you were looking to do at that point?
It was. Well, I was 16 when I started work on Potter, and I think I wanted to be an actor. Like, it was something I was good at, but then when you're at high school and you're into acting and you're a boy,
Oh yeah.
it kind of, it means you're in quite a small group of men who are into acting and high school. So I don't know whether I was a good actor or whether I was just the only boy who wanted to do it.
Oh, you're one of those schools.
Yeah. But yeah, I liked it. It was something I could do, and it was something I felt comfortable and confident doing.
Well, I think we can all say you do it well because we've
you.
seen it. So
I'm very good at being stern.
is that your thing?
Raising an eyebrow. I'm like, that's Percy. Just all the time.
Stern and eyebrows. That's the direction.
Yeah.
So was that your first ever job ever?
Literally my first ever job. I hadn't had a paper round or anything. It was the first thing that I got given money for.
Again, that's one of the things that you unique to your franchise. But I think you're because you said already you're one of the older kids.
Yeah.
You weren't one of the kids that grew up on set. You kind of were close to being an adult by then. But did you just then act forever, or did you do any of the stuff like a lot of people still did uni or college or stuff like that?
I did. So I started Harry Potter when I was 16, and I eventually went to university after we made the 5th film.
Oh wow!
So I'd done the first 3, and then Percy wasn't in the 4th film, and I went off and did some other acting things. I did a couple of plays and a TV series in that time, and then I came back and they wanted me to do the 5th film. And then I was barely in the 5th film. I'm essentially just kind of oh look, there's him. He was in the other ones. But I don't think I had any lines in that either, actually. And I kind of thought, I remember thinking, they kind of put it, I'm here just because it's a nice thing to have Percy there. Yeah. And then they didn't ask me back for the 6th one. I kind of thought, okay, that's cool. We've probably written Percy out. That's fine, I'm okay, we'll be good, but I need to go and get a job. So I was 24 or 25 then, and then thought, this is the time I can go to uni now. And of course, I started university. I went to university to study film production. And in the middle of my second year, they asked me to come back and do the Deathly Hallows film, so kind of didn't do very well at university because I wasn't there, but
I didn't do very well, and I don't have that excuse, so don't worry. I just got drunk a lot.
Yeah.
Stay in school, kids.
Stay in school.
But that's something that's really unique to the actors and people in the Harry Potter together, is that everyone seems to prioritise that sort of level of normality to that level of we're in the biggest franchise in the world. And I find that really a good thing to hear. Like, everyone seems really grounded and really down to earth.
I think I have to say Warner Brothers did an incredibly good job at looking after us as children, as people who hadn't been in the industry before. They were very careful and very considerate not to exploit the fact that we were kids who had no idea what we were doing, really. None of us well, a couple of us have been. Tom Felton had been in something, and Dan had been in a couple of things, but we didn't know what we were doing. We had no idea that we were being led into this sort of, what was at the time the biggest film franchise ever.
Still is one of the biggest.
Still is. I mean, Endgame, I think, has taken more in the last weekend than Harry Potter has ever taken ever, but
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to talk about Endgame.
I've got to watch the rest of the Avengers films before we start talking.
This is the thing. I do this at every Comic Con. I'll start talking about something that I think, oh, everyone loves it, and then someone goes, "Don't spoil it." Okay. So we're embargoed from that. But the thing is with the MCU versus say Harry Potter, and again, time will tell. But Harry Potter. It's done that thing now where, what year was the first film? It was
2001.
So it's done the thing where now people who grew up with the film are giving it to their children. It's hitting that phase, which is crazy.
I know.
It's like, that blows my mind, but it keeps finding new audiences, which is a testament to it.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's a testament to the stories that Joe wrote, is that they are completely timeless. And sure, there's elements of the films that don't age necessarily as well as others. There's some CG effects that are regrettable, but the stories are amazing.
Yeah,
and I think that sort of outlasts the technology that gets outdated. You know, I guess it's similar in a similar kind of way to, like, say, the early Star Wars films.
Yeah.
You look at them now and go, oh.
Yeah,
but
you
can see the strings, but
and then they remaster them to modernise them, and everyone goes, no, put the strings back in.
Exactly. It's like Thunderbirds. But yeah, it's Harry Potter has now fully reached second generation, which is terrifying.
It's crazy.
I'm 35 now, and like, I have friends that I went to high school with whose children are now 11 and 12 years old,
and they're massive into
fully into Harry Potter.
Back in the UK, we have a comic called the Beano.
Yeah.
I do work for them, and one of the biggest things that the kids want to hear about still is Harry Potter.
Yeah.
All the time, they're like, Harry Potter, Harry Potter, Harry Potter. And it doesn't look like it's going to slow, it looks like it's just going to continue.
I know, what she's done is quite amazing.
Yeah. But off that subject though, and back onto you as a person, you said you studied film and production. Is that something, that side of the camera interests you a lot?
It does, yeah. I think what I realised working on Harry Potter was that as much as I love being a performer, I like performing more as a stage performer, and I like the technical side of what goes into making screen stuff. So, kind of once Potter had finished and once I'd sort of gone through university, I've spent since I finished university really, so the last kind of about 6 or 6.5 years I've been working mostly off camera in TV and film production offices.
Oh wow.
Sort of as a production coordinator, so kind of organising everything. But I like everything that goes into making a film or a TV show. I'm not so much interested in being stood in front of the camera.
Oh really?
Yeah, I find that that side of acting I find quite technically difficult and challenging, because you're filming out of context all the time. Like you don't start at the beginning. Like when you go up on stage and you're in a play, you go on stage at 7:30 in the evening. You start the story at the beginning and you tell it in the order that it's supposed to be told, non-stop until you get to the end of the story.
Yeah.
And then you go home. Whereas in film,
we've got this set, and
we've got this set, so we're going to work on this set and film everything that's on this set. Oh, and we've got this really famous actor who's going to do these days, so we'll do all the scenes they're in on this set, on this day. Not in order.
Yeah.
And it's not, this sounds awful, but it's not just about the actors when you're working on TV and film, it's everything else.
Yeah.
The camera has to be in focus and in the right place, the sound has to be right, the lighting has to be right, the people in the background have to be doing everything. It's just, there's so many bits and bobs that go into making what you see on the screen. It's, for me as an actor, I find that really not enjoyable.
Oh really? That's interesting. I'd like to hear this, because again, that's one of the things about it, especially as you evolve as a human being, you find yourself going towards that stuff. There's so many actors and performers who it's not that they fall out of love with what they do, they just, their brain sort of gears into something else.
Sure, yeah, I think it changes as well. And I I mean, when we started, we were very lucky as kids that we were cast in this amazing thing. And don't get me wrong, being in Harry Potter and well, any kind of work is always incredibly rewarding. It's just the process that goes into making a film, which is why it takes a year to make a film. There's so many different things that have to be right and have to be sorted out that it's. I find that really interesting to work on from a production as a producer kind of side of it, not so much as an actor.
There's always that advantage as well, and I find this a lot when someone who's acted goes into any form of production, whether it be like any sort of producing, directing, DPing, whatever. They suddenly have an understanding for the other side of the camera, and it becomes a sort of symbiotic relationship because you know what that person's expecting there, whereas a lot of people have never done that. They're like, I've just got to get this one thing fixed, and it never gets relayed, and then you just got to say, oh, what's that then?
It's weird. It's very weird. I directed my first short film last summer for the BBC, and it was an experience. I absolutely loved it, but I hadn't ever really considered, having worked as an actor on TV stuff and having worked in the production office on TV stuff, quite how much people expect from the director and how much the director has to answer for it.
It's that beautiful way that Tarantino summarises it. He said he knew he could direct when he realised all he had to do was get what's in his head there through other people. And it's again like actors, like there's a lot of directors who they know what they want something to look like, they know how to communicate that to say a DP or someone, but then they have no experience in acting, so they don't know those insecurities in an actor, which performing, like anyone who's performed will know this. There's that part in any job, I guess, especially when you make it something. You just want someone to go to you and go, what you did was perfect. Whereas a lot of directors go, they've done it exactly what I want, so I won't say anything. And then the actors are going, was that right?
And the other complete other side of that is when something goes wrong, but it's nothing to do with the performance. Like you can be doing the best performance you've ever done in your life, and the camera could be out of focus. So it's wasted, it's useless, but it's not the actor's fault. That's just one of those things that's happened or whatever, you know.
It's such a like you say, it's such a huge process, and like the Potter films to bring you back around there. I mean, they're some of I still think they are some of the biggest productions I've ever.
There was 2,000 people a day. Working on those films.
That's crazy. And everyone just wants to know they're doing their job. And
everybody has a very specific job to do. Even if it's the person, from the director and the producer all the way down to the person whose job it is to keep the dressing rooms clean. They've all got a very specific job. All of their jobs make movies. If your dressing room's not clean, you might be a bit grumpy about it. You're not going to give your best performance.
I didn't realise there's 2,000 people on it as well.
Pretty much, between 1,200 and 2,000 people.
I watched an interview with Werner Herzog the other day, and he said you only need 2 people to make a film. And so it's like, it's so crazy that, again, that's why I love film. You have that level of thing where you've got something like an indie being made by 3 people and some actors, like lights, camera, and a director, sound, maybe. And then you have something like that where, like you say, everything is a specialised purpose that's feeding into something.
And there's so much, there might be 2,000 people, but they're not necessarily all working on what's going on that day. So you're talking about people who are building the sets that we're going to be on next week, and the people who are taking down the sets you were on last week, and there's so much, and I think
one person's job is just to check if people have allergies. So no one dies. Great, because if they get it wrong, that's 3 days later. It's great. I love the movies. Going back to Potter, because I know a lot of people you've done these things, you know they're interested in it. Favourite question, have you sorted yourself in real life?
I'm a Ravenclaw.
Ravenclaw! Big shout for the Raven. Alright, let's go through it. Ravenclaws, give me a cheer. Hufflepuffs? Gryffindors? Now, this is who I am, Slytherins? Love Slytherin.
I think Hufflepuffs have got it today, haven't they?
I think so. Hufflepuffs are always the friendliest as well.
Hi! Has anybody here seen the play Puffs?
What?
There's a play called Puffs.
Really?
Yeah, it's on in New York at the moment. It's called Puffs, and I can't remember. There's a second part of it anyway. But it's about Hufflepuffs, but it tells the story of a Hufflepuff kid who's at school at the same time as Harry Potter. But it's his story.
They're Back to the Future too, then.
Yeah, but it is the funniest thing you have ever seen. You can download it off of iTunes and Amazon. I'm not sponsored by them, but I went to see it last month and have never laughed so hard in my life. It is the funniest thing.
I didn't know this existed.
Yeah, it does. It exists. It's called Puffs.
Has anyone seen it? Oh wow, who was that? Just our inner monologue. Okay, there's definitely someone. I think everyone in here is now just going, okay, I know exactly what I'm doing when I leave Comic-Con today.
Very, very funny.
Is it canon?
It's no, not canon. But yeah, if you know your Harry Potter, you will thoroughly enjoy it.
Oh really?
It's not necessarily suitable for children at all times either, which makes it even better.
Nice little disclaimer. Yeah, it's great. Don't tell your kids.
Oh no, they do. Like if you have a chance to go and see it, I hope it will come to Europe at some point. I'm praying it does, but they do like the normal version of the show is a little bit rude, and then on the weekend shows, I think on the Saturday they do like the 2 shows, and on Sunday they do 2 shows, and they are like family friendly ones.
Oh, nice.
In order, because people do mistake.
Yeah, I mean, if a kid finds out there's something Harry Potter, they're going. We will open the floor in a second, by the way, so if you've got any questions for Chris, get them in your head. A few more for you before we do that. Patronus, you done that?
My Patronus is a wombat.
Oh, wow!
I haven't done the test, I've just decided.
Oh, nice. That's the way you find out. Mine was a wolf, I did the test.
A wolf?
Yeah, I was very happy with that.
Wombats do square poos.
I know!
Yeah.
They're crazy, that's crazy, isn't it? Like, I saw one, because I didn't believe it. Yeah, I've cuddled a baby wombat, because you can't pick up an adult one, because they're really aggressive.
They are quite aggressive,
Yeah. But yeah,
I love wombats.
that blew my mind. I thought it was an urban myth, but no. Last question before we open the floor up, and I love this. If you could make up your own spell, could be anything, what would it be?
Ooh.
And this is great because now we find out. Because for me, I'd do a very selfish spell. Some people are like, "Yeah, I'll just clean up the world." You're not allowed that one, by the way.
Oh damn it!
It's taken. We'll assume someone makes a clean up the world spell.
Is there? I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it?
It is hard. It is hard.
Could be anything.
It could be anything. Oh Lord.
These are the best questions. Put them on the spot.
I'll come back to you. I mean, my initial reaction is to try and find some kind of Brexit reversal spell.
Yeah.
Because it's a bloody nightmare.
But the annoying thing about that is we don't need a spell. We just anyway. Let's not bring our English problems over here.
And I'm so sorry because we keep bringing them over to Belgium to try and sort them all out.
Yeah. We just, from me and Chris, we love you guys and we're just adopted.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's not all of us. But yeah, Thomas is out there. If you got a mic, Thomas? If you got a question for Chris, put your hand up. He will get to you. Don't be shy. First, that's straight. Yes. First question, always the best.
Hi. I was wondering if you could play any other character in the Harry Potter films, who would you play?
That is such a good question. And it is a question I get asked nearly every single time, and I always try and answer it. I always try and think about it and answer it slightly differently. But I think it would be Bellatrix Lestrange.
Ooh.
Because why not?
Yeah.
She's amazing. I mean, she's such a ridiculous character. Like, she's so nasty. And nasty characters are always the more fun characters to play. And Percy I always think is a bit nasty. He's not bad, but he's got a mean side to him that I quite like. But Bellatrix is just pure evil and enjoys being evil.
And I think you'd rock the costume.
I would.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's a good answer. I would have gone Snape just because any.
But nobody could ever play that part.
Exactly. That's the thing. no one would ever be able to even Alan Rickman's voice just as.
No.
Oh, yeah. Questions? Get your hands up. There and there. Where's Thomas? We'll come there and then we'll come back to you over there.
Hello.
What's the best concert you've been to recently?
Best concert. Oh.
Do you know what? I'm going to say this while Chris thinks. I didn't expect that because she had the uniform on. I was like, here's a hardcore Harry Potter coming, but great, yeah.
Do you know, I haven't been to many concerts recently. Trying to think. I'm going to see Pink next month.
What?
Quite excited about that.
Where's Pink on?
She's on in Cardiff, where I live.
Oh, do you live in
Yeah,
Cardiff?
she played the Millennium Stadium for one night.
Oh, nice. What's yours? The Hollies.
Oh, Hollies.
Nice. Good
Wow.
call. Good call.
I don't know. I'm trying to think what other concerts I've been to recently. There's,
You're getting waved at from the side of the stage.
sorry? That wasn't a concert.
Is that your girlfriend, by the way? They're just saying like, so it's just gone. You have been to a concert.
We went to see a drag show last week. We're big into RuPaul's Drag Race in our household.
Nice.
Yes, we are. Literally all the last live events I've been to see in the last year have been drag shows. We went to see Chad Michaels and Farrah Moan last week. Trixie Mattel a couple of weeks ago. Last like music concert, I think the last thing we went to see was the Blue Man Group, which are like my favourite thing ever, by the way. If all else fails in the world and acting and TV production fails, I'm going to become a Blue Man.
Yeah, and then you get to make the Tobias joke.
I do,
Yes. Yeah. Oh, good. I love how big you are into drag stuff.
We love it, yeah.
It's great. There was a question over there, and then we'll come back to you. Hand back up, and then we got you. Whilst Thomas is running, I got to a recreation of Rocky Horror the other week.
Oh, nice.
And I got to be Tim Curry, and I've never felt sexier in my life.
Do you know what? I went dressed as Frankenfurter. We went to see the Rocky Horror Show a couple of years ago. I went as Frankenfurter, and Ness, my girlfriend, went as like a girl version of Rocky.
Oh, nice.
And I got hit on by more old, fat, straight men in one night with 9-inch platform heels and fishnets on than I ever have.
You feel so good though. Like if you ever want a confidence boost, guys, that is the costume. Anyway, sorry. Question out there.
I was wondering, what is the best prank either performed by you or on you, like on set or in real life? Just
Best prank.
I'm not very good at pranks. I'm an only child, so I never had that kind of experience with and I don't have any cousins particularly, or nieces and nephews, or any of that, brothers or sisters or anything. Very small family, so I never grew up in that kind of having pranks pulled on me or pulling pranks on other people things. So I tend to get quite angry when people do things like that to me. Ness does it occasionally. I get really annoyed.
Jeez, you can't say that when you said that. Just
It's true though, isn't it? I'm not good at having practical jokes pulled on me at all. It's because I'm an only child, that's just what I said, yeah.
You would hate living with me.
Yeah.
I will hide in a cupboard for 2 hours if I get to jump out at someone.
Brilliant.
Happy
Brilliant.
to. We had another question down the front, Thomas, I believe.
Okay, hello, I will translate. What do you think about the Warner Studio in London? And the way they did it, the way they designed it?
The studio tour.
Yeah, the studio tour.
I think it's amazing. It's very strange though. Although I haven't been, I know they've just changed some of the layout because they've added the Gringotts Bank into it, so it is different now to when I last went. But it's, for me, it's strange because it's like going back to the house that you grew up in as a child, but somebody's turned it into a museum and moved everything around. So everything's there and everything is how you remember it, but it's also not the same, and it's not quite right, but it's still wonderful. But yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. I especially love the second half of it, where you get all the sort of behind the scenes stuff. So as much as I love, the sets and everything like that are beautiful and so detailed and wonderful, and we were really lucky that we got to hang out on them all the time. But for me, the bit that I think is more special is when you see how much work went in behind the scenes. So when you go into and you see all the models and the props and the hair and makeup bits and the goblin and all that kind of side of it. So the second half of the tour is really special, and all the concept art on the walls, and yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it there. And I could go in and I could sit in that room where the castle model is at the end, and I could sit there all day happily. It still makes me cry every time I go in there. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, that's right. Genuinely really lovely to hear.
Oh no, it's amazing. It's very odd because it is, like I say, it's like going back to, I don't know, it's like your high school being turned into a high school museum. But yeah, I think it's very well and tastefully done, the way they've kind of made it a tribute to people. And people literally spent a decade of their life working on these films. There are people, they're members of the crew. I think this says a lot about what a special and happy place Leavesden Studios was to work, is that people are still working on Fantastic Beasts now, and they have worked constantly on the Harry Potter film, on the magical, the Wizarding World franchise as it now is. They've been working on that since the first film.
It's crazy.
So they've been there 20 odd years.
Yeah. Actually, we just spoke to Brian Muir, who he has designed so many things in films.
Yeah.
And the best example of someone doing their job well is when you don't notice it.
Exactly.
And that's the thing, isn't it? That there's stuff in there that's one person has just been honed in on that one detail that, had it not been there, there would have been something different, but you wouldn't have been able to put your finger on it.
Yeah, but it's like there's the graphic designers who worked on Harry Potter, Mina Lima, who are amazing, and all the Harry Potter stuff these days is their design. So they designed all the Daily Prophet layouts, they designed all the Weasley's Wizard, but the amount of detail that they would go into, the newspapers were 7 or 8 pages of newspaper before it started to kind of repeat itself slightly. So you would have something to physically read, and they would be stories, and the textbooks would have pages and pages of actual
news stories.
Yeah, it wouldn't be like you were just opening a page and just said, it wasn't like Laura Mipson, just copy paste. It was unique and individual stuff that people never saw.
Have they ever released those?
Some of them.
Oh really?
Some of them. So the Mina Lima, who the graphic designers, had a shop that opened as like a pop-up just behind the Palace Theatre in London, which is where Cursed Child is playing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's done so well that I think it's just going to stay there.
I didn't know that was there. I'm always near there.
Check that out. So if you stood outside the Palace, I think if you got the road to the right of it, it's up there. It's behind there somewhere. It's in that little sort of warren of little streets.
If anyone goes to London, check that out. Especially if you go to Cursed Child.
Cool. It's downstairs. The bottom story is like a proper shop, and then you go up and it's proper wonky. It's proper like something out of Diagon Alley. And then each level almost becomes a bit of a kind of exhibition of their work, but with the stuff that's for sale. And some of it is super limited edition, and thousands of pounds. And
you just saw it out my gay day next week. There you go.
We love it, absolutely love it.
That's incredible.
A small fortune, but the amount of detail that goes into their work.
It's nice as well that things like that, when you hear that it has a life after the film, because again, talking to someone like Brian who makes them, he just told me about all the things he threw away, and your heart goes what, I would have had that, and it's gone forever. And now I guess is that sort of sense of legacy where they try and preserve stuff. I mean, Harry Potter, famously, the set, so hard to steal anything off.
So hard.
Yeah, did you try?
I tried to steal my Weasley jumper
Oh, did
with
you?
a P for Percy on it, and yeah, I got it as far as the hotel before they rang me up and asked me where it was, and I'm far too good and far too nice, and I went, oh, would you look at it? It's in my bag. Oh. I don't know how that happened. I'll bring it back tomorrow. I mean, they obviously knew I was trying to steal it, but yeah.
Did you get anything off the set?
I got there's a pair of shoes that were at the bottom of Percy's Ministry of Magic suit, which they let me have because they were from Top Man, and I could have gone and bought them, and they would have cost me £30. And they bought, because obviously when they make a costume or when they buy bits of costume, they buy multiple varieties of it. So they've got like 3 pairs of shoes for me for that were exactly the same. Then there was the same shoes again for my body double, but he had different size feet, of course, so he had his own shoes. And then there was ones for when Percy was working in the Ministry that were nice and shiny, and then there was pairs for when we were fighting in the Battle of Hogwarts that were a bit sort of scuffed up and damaged. And yeah, so there was loads. There was like
I love that detail.
So they were like,
I love it as well how they got with that character go, yeah, he'd have the same shoes forever.
yeah, he would. Yeah. He'd have spent all the money he possibly had on his posh suit for when he started his job at the Ministry, and then he has to wear that suit he's wearing it from the 5th film on.
Or he's in a Homer Simpson and he says the same one numerous times. It's great. Any questions yet on the floor?
Hi. Yes, it works. Hello. I was wondering, since you said you're working more behind the screens nowadays, are there any franchises or types of films you'd still like to do? Maybe like MCU or even Fantastic Beasts?
I'd love to work on Fantastic Beasts. I would love to. Are they hoovering around?
No, it's they have an inflatable room over there. So yeah, if you really want to go viral, just get a video of you falling off that. Last Comic-Con. It's hard. I do not have the thighs for it. But yeah, that's what that is. It does sound like someone's just in the background going, "Excuse me,
just get round to it. Move your feet." I was really lucky when I work because I live in South Wales in the UK. There is a huge TV industry there. Doctor Who's filmed there. I was working for a couple of years for a company called Bad Wolf who have just made a discovery of witches and are now making His Dark Materials. That's going to be huge and amazing. But yeah, we have a lot of stuff that films around our Sex Education, the new Netflix show. That film's like minutes from now.
What was that?
Yeah, it's from Newport. Things like that really interest me. I was really lucky that I got to work on the last season of Downton Abbey, which I loved. I loved working on that. I think things like that interest me more so than, say, specific universes. I think for me the appeal is working with. This is almost more geeky than having like a geek out about working on, say, a Marvel film.
It's just sitting in this room.
It's like the producer. It would be like I wanted to work on Downton Abbey because I wanted to work with the producers and the writers that had worked on that show because I really admire them. It's not. I mean, I love Downton Abbey, but it's less. Oh my God, I'm working on Downton Abbey. It's more. Oh my God, I'm working with Chris Croucher and Liz and these people. You know, it's that side of it that makes me geek out. And it would be the same if I got to work on Fantastic Beasts, for instance. It would be getting to work with people like David Heyman, but from that perspective and being able to watch them do what they do, and David Yates for that matter, because that man is just amazing. Like how that man he's just the best director ever, and I don't know how he does it because he's so quiet and so.
Oh really?
Sort of, yeah, I've never heard him speak any louder than me.
So the first one.
That's all. He's so quiet and so kind of unassuming, and yet he's helming these hundreds of millions of pound movies.
Yeah. I like it when you hear people direct.
Quiet geniuses.
Yeah.
Oh, they're the best.
I would happily nerd out with you about directing and styles. But again, any questions that we've got on the floor? We've got already got the microphone.
Hi. I was wondering if you saw a Harry Potter musical.
Yes.
I saw a very Potter musical. Yes. Now, if you haven't come across Star Kid and you consider yourself to be a Harry Potter fan, then you need to reconsider your options. Go away and watch a Harry Potter musical immediately. I saw it live in 2008. It was a while ago. It was a very, very long time ago. No, maybe it's 2000. No, this was 2009 because they're just coming up for their 10-year thing, aren't they? Yeah. So yeah, I saw them do it live on a stage not much bigger than this, with an audience not much bigger than this, at a Harry Potter convention in San Francisco. So I knew about Star Kid before most people did. I'm an original Star Kid fanboy.
I rewatched that the other day.
And very weirdly, and it's one of those small things that always makes me chuckle, is that Darren Criss once asked me for my autograph. And is now like Emmy-winning, Grammy-winning hero man. Like, yeah. So it's one of those things. But yeah, no, yeah, they're very good. They're very cool.
I'm just going to check the time because otherwise I'll do what I always do and talk too long. We probably could squeeze a few more in. If anyone's got a question, get your hands up. Tom, he's on it. Thomas is on it.
Do you prefer the books or the movies?
Always books. Always books. I know I shouldn't say that because I'm in the movies, but the books are always better. I mean, the movies are great, don't get me wrong, the movies are brilliant. But, yeah, if the book comes first, the book is going to be better. And what you can do in your imagination is always better than anything you can ever do on a film.
Do you see yourself after you got cast? I love asking that, because I find that so
weirdly,
weird.
no. I don't, but I see everybody else.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a bit like a vampire looking in a mirror, I think. It's like this empty gap.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I'm seeing it through sort of
his
through
eyes.
first person or what, but yeah, I don't see me.
I find that fascinating, that idea that you can read something and go, should I picture myself? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Oh, that's so weird.
I don't at all. Which is weird because I do, like I said, I see everybody else. It's Daniel, it's Rupert, it's Emma, it's everybody, but it's not me.
Yeah.
It's like.
But that makes sense. It'd be so weird otherwise. Do you have a favourite book?
Chamber of Secrets, and I don't know why, because it's one of the least popular, I think. Interestingly. Even the very like. I like it because I like Tom Riddle as a baddie in the book. He's got kind of.
You like him more human.
He's more like a Bond villain, I think, in Chamber of Secrets. There's that kind of, no, Mr. Potter, I'm going to kill you, and this is how I'm going to do it.
But at that stage as well, though, he's not becoming a monster.
No, he's not a
like
lunatic. He's just like a very nasty human.
Yeah. Everyone loves that stage. Any more? Yeah, we got over there.
Hi. Who's your favorite drag queen, if I can ask?
Who's my favourite drag queen? Oh, don't ask me that. That's
You
like.
just say Katja. I mean, she's everyone's.
I love Katja. I love Katja. My favourite, I think, I wouldn't.
Again, I'm looking for confirmation.
My favourite, my drag performer is Sasha Velour.
Okay, yeah.
By like a million miles. And I don't know, if you'd asked me this like a week and a half ago before I'd met Chad Michaels, I wouldn't have said Chad Michaels, but Chad Michaels is an absolute sweetheart.
She's...
And also an enormous Harry Potter fan, who knew?
Oh yeah, she does cosplays as well, I think.
Yeah, like, massive Harry Potter nerd. It's very strange when you go to meet somebody because you really like what they do and they interrupt you and go, I really like what you do. You're like, no, I'm here to tell you that, stop it. Yeah. Can't pick, it's not fair.
No, it is.
I love
very
Trixie,
hard.
like all
Trixie,
so many.
Yeah, they're all great.
Yeah. Come by and talk to us about drag. Come to the table.
Yeah, if you're in Comic-Con this weekend and you have questions about drag, Chris is your man.
I'm your man.
I'm glad as well how in-depth you did that, because whilst that happened, my phone started buzzing to say, get into that stage. So are there any quick questions before we wrap this up? Last two, we'll have the last two and then we're out.
I'll talk really quickly.
Could have turned my alarm off as well, so again, I'm so glad you covered that. I was like, stop it!
Which was your favorite scene to shoot in Harry Potter?
Favourite scene. I think I'm going to tell. It was a scene that didn't make it to the film, which was we filmed in the first film when Percy is taking the first years to the Gryffindor common room for the first time. So we do like the Percy bit with the keep an eye on the staircases, and we go to the portrait and we say Caput Draconis, all of that bit. There was a part in that scene that we met Peeves the Poltergeist, and it was so seriously, it was so much fun, and he was played, and it was all filmed, and they just decided not to use the character because it was a bit of a huge distraction. But it was a British comic actor called Rick Mail. It was Rick Mail, who if you don't know who Rick Mail is, which is probably understandable because he's very British. He was famous for Drop Dead Fred, The Young Ones, Bottom, Comic Strip Presents, Blackadder. He plays Flash Hart in Blackadder. Woof! That one, if you've seen it. The funniest, rudest maniac I've ever met, and he was amazing and lovely, and I had so much fun filming with him. And then they cut him, and he's sadly no longer with us, but he taught me all sorts of rude words. It was amazing.
That's incredible.
And you could just imagine it, it'd have been so good.
As a poltergeist, perfect casting. Before we do the last question, I always wondered, because so many people have said their favourite scenes are ones that got cut. I wonder if there's somewhere on the floor like super cut, like in Apocalypse Now, 6-hour edit of a film.
The Americans have a longer version of some of the films than we do.
What?
Yeah, because they have like these Harry Potter marathons on ABC channel out there, and they have extended scene bits in them, which we haven't seen. But it's coming up, like 2021 will be the 20th anniversary of the first film coming out, and I hope to God
they do,
somebody is going to do like an extended edition or a director's cut, or
incredible.
At least some deleted scenes. I understand why there's never really been a proper blooper reel, but they always promised they wouldn't do that to the kids when they were kids, because it wasn't fair to show kids messing up. But who knows, now it's 20 years down the line, we're all pushing, some of us are pushing 40 in the next few years, so who knows? We shall see. I would love to see some of this stuff.
I heard you talking about Star Kids, and I was wondering, what is your favorite musical by them?
It's the original. It's a Harry Potter musical. It has to be,
And the new one?
Not so much. I'm not as familiar with it, I have to say, but because it's one of those places that it's one of those things that whenever I see it or whenever I've sung it or anything like that, it's always like it reminds me of like the good old days.
It's very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am very sorry. We know we could do this all day, but we can't.
We can do it all again tomorrow, though.
Yeah. We can. If there's any gaps, just come back and chat. But Chris is here all weekend, so please go talk to him. Also, you've got so much to talk to him about now. Not everyone always goes off topic, and we like that.
Yeah.
So all you have to do is there's one job, and that is to show your love for him. So, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Rankin.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We'll be back in a second. We're going to